7:16 at KPEL. Welcome into Wingin It Wednesday. Hey, we're at such a loss of things to talk about today. I hope we can figure something out. You know, there's so much to talk about. Our panelists actually got 2 sets of topics yesterday, but it's all right. We got that under control. So last night was the big vice presidential debate. I really didn't have high hopes for it. Didn't really know how excited people were to see it, but what happened last night surely has the people talking today. Interested in your thoughts. Who won? Who lost? Who made their point? Who do you think differently about? The whole package. Carol, we'll start with you.
Well, who's the bully now? Tim Kaine was a bully. I mean, and it was pretty obvious. His training as a plaintiff attorney, but you know, I was reading about him. He got $100 million settlement back when he was with the plaintiff bar, and I guess I don't know if it was Virginia or one of those places where he's lived. Anyway, it probably was Virginia, and it was overturned on appeal. Of course, $100 million settlement for a housing situation, and it got overturned on appeal, and they had to negotiate a settlement down to $17 million. So he's used to bullying people. I think Pence really handled it well because he kept getting interrupted. You know how hard that is when you keep getting interrupted to keep your train of thought. And I think Pence did really, really well to do that. I wasn't that upset with Elena. I've heard a lot of analysis about people saying she should have stopped Kaine, but how do you stop a bully like that? I mean, and you want them to have that interchange and people to see who he really is. Well, I think people saw who he really is, and she did ask some very good questions. I really thought her questions were very good, and I didn't have high hopes for her. And so I was pleasantly surprised that she asked some substantive questions and tried to keep them on topic, as hard as that was. But now they say Pence interrupted Kaine, but it was such in the nature of, and he'd make an aside, but he really never really interrupted him nastily like Kaine did to him. Who won? Well, I do think that most people agree that Kaine didn't do them any good, didn't do themselves any good. Because of his bullying attitude, and of course repeating the mantra over and over again. Trump said this. Trump called women this. Trump called Mexicans this. But where is your policy that is going to make things better for people? There wasn't a heck of a lot of that. I think Pence tried to get into it and kept getting interrupted. Every time you can tell. Listen, when you're scoring a point on a liberal, they're going to scream at you and they're going to interrupt you and they're going to call you a racist and a liar and whatever. So you know that when you're scoring points, you will be interrupted. And I think Pence scored some points last night.
You know, Bernie and I talked about how the debate began, which I actually really liked the question, hey, your biggest duty is to be the one who's standing there if something tragic has to happen to the president. A lot of the criticism comes from, you know, the person whose quote she gave about the importance of the vice president, Elaine Quijano. But after it, I felt much more comfortable with Pence should that situation happening. You know, I mean, almost as comfortable as him just becoming president right now.
And I think that was a big point. That's a big point of these vice presidential events. You've got to know that the guy standing next to the other guy or woman is going to be someone who can take over the reins if it's necessary. That is an important question.
Warren, your thoughts on the night last night?
Well, first off, I have to admit that I did not complete my homework assignment because I watched all of it I could stand.
Yeah, I understand.
And, you know, I would
not. Not getting off that easy. I had to watch the whole thing.
I would not.
I was a good girl. I watched the whole thing.
All right. So you're the Mrs. King this morning. So I didn't think he came off as a bully so much. What he came off to me as that little spoiled, smart-mouthed brat in elementary school that when the teacher leaves the room says, everybody stay in your seat, blah, blah, blah. And when she comes back, little Tommy jumps up and says, Teacher, I want you to know that Rob said a bad word and Bernie stuck her tongue out at me and that Carol, she just jumped up and down out of her desk. And I think you should know that. You know, and that, to me, that's kind of the way he came across. You know, he just had that little smirk on his face and just, every time he could, you know, he was so programmed to say, and Trump said this, and Trump said that, and Trump's a bad guy, and Trump this, and Trump that, you know. That was his whole thing. But like you said, he kept interrupting, and he just, regardless of what was said, he had to come out with whatever the little program digital byte was in his brain. It says, that triggers the Trump said this, that triggers this, and that triggers that. I mean, I just thought it really was a waste of time. But I do think that Jim Pence came out, Mike Pence came out looking a lot better. Yeah.
In the end.
He actually looked presidential, actually. Trump, of course, was burning up the Twitter machine.
Oh, see, I wasn't even paying attention to him.
Twitter machine.
Oh.
You weren't.
No.
Well, but one that he retweeted, some woman said something about Kaine looking like one of the villains from the Batman series. Actually, what I thought was he looked kind of like Jack Nicholson in The Shining.
Very similar.
Carrying the hatchet.
Let's take a phone call, 232-1542. We always welcome your comments. Go ahead. You're on Wingin' It Wednesday.
Yeah, I thought the big one was, in a card game, you look for a tail, and when Tim Kaine's eyebrow goes up, he's lying.
There you go.
Okay, but one other thing is, it really disturbed me that he wants to quote scripture. And, I got a few scriptures for Democrats, too. Don't kill, don't steal, and don't tell people to envy. That's what they run on. I mean, they don't protect the laws. Anyway, I'm fed up with Democrats. And Tim Kaine just iced the cake for me.
Thank you.
I have no use for him.
And Bill sure didn't learn the commandment about coveting thy neighbor's wife. I think he missed that one in school.
Or girlfriend, or daughter, or cousin.
Anything hanging around.
Covet anything else. I thought it was funny, Warren. I was talking about the schoolboy. You know what came across to me with the interrupting was there was almost a sense of entitlement because he clearly didn't understand the debate format, how it goes, that it is supposed to be a conversation, but he kept saying, oh no, well now I need to respond. Oh no, well now I need to respond. That's the point. You're going to have a chance to respond, but, I was telling Bernie this earlier, I still think that the office of the presidency, anyone in the White House, I don't care if you're president or vice president or secretary of state or whatever, there's a certain level of decorum and general respect you should be able to show, and that was not done at all. Let's take one more call before we go to take our first break. Good morning. You're on Wingin' It Wednesday with Carol and Warren. Go ahead.
Yeah, last night, whoever watched the debate, if they was on the fence on who they was going to pick between Donald Trump and Hillary, everybody should know last night who they should pick. Because whatever Tim Kaine, he ain't worth it, and Pence handled his business, and Trump should take off where Pence left off at Sunday night. That's all I got to say. Thank y'all.
We appreciate it.
Well, he said it a lot.
He always, he always comes in with a good point. Mm-hmm. We appreciate your calls, and we'll take more when we come back. We're going to talk about an article that was written yesterday that posed the question: is this the most trivial presidential election ever? Clinton calls Obamacare crazy. Mike Pence a few weeks ago kind of on a different message than the rest of the campaign. We're getting closer. 34 days. We continue after this.
Let me do this traffic. And when the traffic is done, my life will be good. We have several traffic crashes right now. Jenkins Road between Country Corner and the area of Tyrona. That is not true. Where's Tyrona? Seriously, nah. Oh, Lord. Watch out for a traffic crash, Jenkins Road, right past Country Corner. That's Jenkins Road, right past Country Corner. Traffic crash, Tyrona Street, between the area of Maryview Farm Road and Oak Coulee. Again, that's Tyrona, right in the area between Maryview Farm Road and Oak Coulee. Johnston Street between Fountain Bend and Reserve. That's Johnston between Fountain Bend and Reserve. Settlers Trace at Ambassador Caffrey. That's Settlers Trace at Ambassador Caffrey. And a traffic crash 90 eastbound at Highway 182 in Broussard. Again, 90 eastbound at Highway 182 in Broussard. If you have an update, let us know at 237-KTDY. That's your up-to-the-minute traffic report. I'm Bernadette Lee.
728 at KPEL. Welcome back to Wingin It Wednesday, brought to you by our friends over at Service Chevrolet Cadillac. Over 1,000 vehicles on the lot. Trust me when I say there's something for you.
You are going to fall in love.
There's a lot of stuff going on,
Plus,
and a lot of awesome people there.
Wash.
Yeah, there's
that
a wash
over there.
Right there. You can go look at cars, to do the wash. It is Wednesdays at the wash, and we continue with our panelists. Is this election the most trivial ever? A lot of people just keep saying that they're not happy with either candidate. I told Bernie after what happened last night, I feel like I would feel best with a Trump-Clinton ticket. And I don't even really care who is president, who is vice president.
I didn't
but
say it either.
But they're so far at the end of the spectrum. Maybe if
Warren,
they compromise, we'd get in the middle.
Stay where you are, Warren. Don't go after him.
No, I'm
Remember,
only
he used
kidding.
to work at CNN. He can't help himself.
I'm only kidding. It continues. It continues.
Very good,
Warren.
Very good.
What are your thoughts about this, sir?
I got a friend I need to call and get a prescription written for you. You know, look, it's an election, and a lot of people are going to see it differently. I remember, I am so old that probably the first election that I even knew they were having one. Well, I can't say that, but anyway, it was 1960 with two men, Richard Nixon and John Fitzgerald Kennedy. And I remember I was over at the old man's house across the road from us, and he was working in his woodworking shop. And I asked him who he thought, who he was for or something, and he said, "Tell you the truth, son, I think we've just about run out of timber for the job."
Wow.
That there was neither one of them was worth even discussing. And that, you know, and that comes up every time, and there's always, you know, that I think that this election, I do believe, has got a stronger contrast than any of them that I have seen in a long time. Maybe Goldwater Johnson was pretty close to being the same, where you've got good versus evil, and or you got maybe not necessarily good, but good as far as what this country always stood for, and that was go out there, make your way, work hard, create something, create jobs, and reap the rewards and the benefits. And then on the other side, you got the criminal element that says, you got it, I want it, I'm going to come and get it. You know, the one thing that I do wish that would happen in this election with the bringing up of the Trump taxes is that he would come out and say how much taxes that he and his companies have paid over the years. How many people have they employed over the years? I know that doesn't mean anything to a lot of the liberal Democrats because they're so opposed to private enterprise. But I wish they would come out and say that. Then I wish they'd come out and say, how many of you people out there that belong to that basket of deplorables actually deduct your interest that you pay on your home mortgage, which is allowed by law? You know, the lost carryovers on business taxes and all of that stuff, it's law. It's been there forever or for a long time, you know, and that, in fact, when you get into businesses, there's sometimes that people will actually buy a defunct business to get that lost carryover to merge it into their ongoing business. And the IRS has changed some of that, but that used to be there were companies designed just to sell those defunct businesses. I mean, this thing is just on and on and on. And for people to come out there like Hillary Clinton and claim that by him not paying taxes, he doesn't support the veterans, he doesn't support the child care, you know, that woman needs to be institutionalized.
Carol.
Let me tell you, I would not say this is the most trivial election ever. Maybe the conversations are trivial, but this is one of the most consequential elections. We have serious, serious problems. Our economy is melting down because of the terrible policies of the Obama and Clinton administration. I mean, just terrible. And one of the main things that I have not heard emphasized enough is Obamacare. It has a lot to do with why businesses are not hiring, why they're not expanding, why the economy is not growing. It has destabilized our economy so badly. And then, Bill Clinton is the gift that just keeps on giving. I mean, when he called Obamacare crazy, I love it. I had to write down this quote because I was just ecstatic. He's absolutely right. For once, Bill Clinton, a Clinton tells the truth. So you've got this crazy system where all of a sudden 25 million more people have health care. I question that. And then the people who are out there busting it, sometimes 60 hours a week, a la what Warren just said, wind up with their premiums doubled and their coverage cut in half. It's the craziest thing in the world. No kidding. And he says if you're a lower income person, if you're already on Medicare, if you have enough subsidies, you can get the subsidies if you're lower or you're lower income or on Medicaid, but people who are getting killed in the deal are small business people and individuals. You wonder why the economy is not growing? The majority of business is created by small to mid-sized businesses, and that's exactly why it's not growing, because they're having to hold down the number of their employees so they don't have to, participate in this, number one. Number two, what kind of a government allows a corporation like Disney to fire all of the workers, train the illegals that are coming in? Why? Because they gave them a 10-year moratorium on having to provide health insurance. Do you tell me that is in any way, shape, or form moral? You want to parade yourself as moral trying to provide health care for people that these rascally Republicans don't want to provide? Well, I'm sorry. You are just creating more dependency. And when Hillary Clinton talks about now they want the public option, this was the camel's nose under the tent all along. They've always wanted government to control health care totally. I mean, it's this hybrid system right now, which is really screwing everything up. Now they want to go for a single-payer, government-controlled. Do you think the American people are going to fall for this again? No, I don't think so. I think they've seen how this much government interference has done to our health care system. You don't think they're going to want more? Double down on this?
Warren, wrap this one up, please.
Talk about Hillary and health care. Under the Hillary Care bill that she was in charge of under Bill Clinton, said, well, you could opt out of it and get your own physician and all of this, that, and other. Well, buried in that bill, and they uncovered it, it was actually a felony. It was actually a felony if you opted out of it or if you went and hired your own doctor or whatever, I don't believe a word the woman said.
Well, they have a lot of minefields in this particular Obamacare, too, because look at what he's been doing with the reinsurance program.
But on this one, we had to pass it to find out what was in it.
Oh.
On the Hillary Care, it was out there for people to read, and that she was telling them that it's not what's in it. But yet when people read it, it was in it.
Well, that was another secret program that they did behind closed doors, as usual.
It is never ending. Bernie?
Yes. May I do traffic, sir?
Go ahead and do traffic, and then we're going to come back. Charles Boustany also running this election for the Senate seat, new lawsuit against the author and publisher of a book that implies he might have been in the mix in the whole Jennings thing.
All right, watch out
traffic.
For a traffic crash here. Vero School Road at South Beetle. That's Vero at South Beetle. Southwest Evangeline Thruway at 6th Street. Again, that's Southwest Evangeline Thruway at 6th Street. We have Jenkins Road at Country Corner. That's Jenkins Road at Country Corner. Tyrona Street between Maryview Farm Road and Oak Coulee. That's Tyrona between Maryview Farm Road and Oak Coulee. Also, Johnston between Fountain Bend and Reserve. That's Johnston between Fountain Bend and Reserve. Settlers Trace at Ambassador Caffrey, and an earlier crash 90 eastbound at 182. Our traffic brought to you by The Wash. Wash It Up Wednesday, people. Time to clean up your car. Take it to The Wash. It's Acadiana's newest and shiniest place to get your car to just sparkle. You can drive through. The Wash makes washing your vehicle a breeze because it's all easy to do. The Wash on Ambassador Caffrey next to Service Chevrolet. Oh, what happened? It broke.
No, you're right. You're good.
No, look, there's another one back there.
I know.
I'm sorry I spoke to you. Yes, we are on the air, Rob, but see this one? That's the one that was supposed to go there. I think I hit the button twice. Can I play it? Will it play?
I forgive you. 7:41, and we're back with Wingin It Wednesday. Carol Ross and Warren Caudle joining us. The story of Congressman Dr. Charles Boustany, who is running for Senate right now, and his possible involvement, especially with a prostitute in Jennings, who might have been involved in the Jennings murders, the Jennings 8, seemed to me to have kind of gone away. In which I think enough people didn't even really know about it, nor did it make really headlines anywhere. Well, we have word this week that he's actually filed a lawsuit against the author of the book and the publishing company, who we had been in touch with whenever we started hearing about the book, and we were able to get copies and were able to read the book. The question, though, becomes, is this safe to do at this stage in the game with only 34 days left until the election? Could this backfire? Carol?
God, I even hate to talk about this again.
Yeah.
I mean, and why it does extend the conversation. And your point is well taken. It pretty much had gone away. A lot of people hadn't heard about it. If they had, they said, no, I can't believe that about Congressman Boustany, and that it's so. Only the congressman can answer that question, whether this is a smart thing to do this close to the election, because only he knows the truth, and we don't. So, I mean, I don't know the value of doing this, except that if he felt it was gaining traction and it needed to be slapped down, then this is a way to do it. But I just feel I really despise these kinds of stories, and I really always feel sorry for the family, because they have to live with this stuff. And, none of us know what the truth is.
And maybe a reason for the timing. Rolling Stone just did a big thing with the book and everything that came out last weekend. So maybe to the campaign it might have seemed like, okay, well that's going big. But
yeah, we need to have to answer again.
We've reached out, here even to get a comment from him. We haven't heard from him. I think that's whatever your lawsuit is.
Wait, from him who?
Actual Boustany on this.
Oh, well, we have our statement that we had with the original story.
Exactly, with the original story. Yeah, absolutely before.
Yeah.
Where he basically just said it was all
fake. But no live on air?
No, but we do have him on the schedule.
No question and answer?
We have him on the schedule tomorrow.
Hello?
At 6:38.
Okay. Well.
So,
we'll see.
So he has made a statement to us that was written that we have in the post. I just want to make sure we're very clear about that.
Warren, your thoughts?
My thoughts are that talking about trivial matters or whatever, my thoughts on this thing is it's pretty damn sleazy, I think, to say the least. And that I thought the guy did an excellent job with the one who wrote the book. I'd read a couple of the articles that he wrote some time back, and they were really lengthy articles in which he was alleging that pretty much, I don't think he alleged so much as he basically proved that it was law enforcement who was doing the killing of those girls over there. And there's such a tangled web they had over there with the corruption and prostitution and the drug trades and whatever. And it really was some interesting articles. I have not read the book. I probably will. But
I would say, is an extension of those articles.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. And that I know that some people in Jennings who corroborated most of that stuff and said that they always thought it was law enforcement who was actually doing the killing. And, when you interject something like this in the book, and it comes out that I think the guy who managed that motel had actually worked for
Martin Guillory,
and then he was terminated or whatever, it's kind of like the old tangled web we weave. But, for the congressman to come out and file a suit at this point, it's like, it's either one of two things. It's like, by God, enough is enough. I'm going to stand my grounds. Or it's like, well, I need to do something to try to turn the tide this close to the election, Whatever the case is, and I'm totally on Charlie's side on this deal. Whatever the case is, please don't come out there making some kind of a deal and having your wife stand at your side while you do a David Vitter.
Well, let me tell you something. And the reason if you oppose Charles Boustany, oppose him on policy, just as you would have opposed David Vitter. But what do you got here? You have personal issues that interfere with the actual, with the policy issues. And by the way, the prior sheriff in Jennings did have all his deputies do a DNA test, but that would have been inconclusive anyway, because whoever disposed of the bodies knew how to dispose them to where the DNA was so degraded it was not not an issue.
And Ethan Brown puts forward several hypotheses, if you will.
Because he even backs away from the true law enforcement did it, which is what a lot of people think, but introduce a lot of different people who could have been involved for different reasons.
Yeah. He said,
you kind of go back to what
he said. Like Jennings, there are a lot of interwoven
networks.
It's really hard to sort it all out. But, whether it's a good idea to file suit, I don't know.
I will tell you the smart thing to do when this first started coming out. Who were the two that came out? Was it Kennedy and who?
Fleming.
Kennedy Fleming came out and just said, hey, this wasn't us, and our prayers to his family for dealing with all this stuff. That was a smart thing to do, because if you would have let that just go, then everyone would just say, oh, Louisiana politics.
Yeah, but they kept hitting back at Kennedy because he was the front runner, right?
Right.
So they didn't feel that Fleming was a threat. So
I don't know Ethan Brown. I do not know him. We have talked to him. I've talked to him separately. We have talked to him on the air. The guy, I don't think, has any motivation other than I'm writing a book. here are the things that I think that I found, you know, and here's what I'm going to present.
I was given by one of, I will say a friend. I won't say
That's
who
okay.
it was. I was given a monograph, a very lengthy monograph done by someone who's researched the corruption in Jeff Davis Parish. I'll just leave it at that. It's very interwoven, and it's all before all this came out.
Warren, wrap this one up for us.
You know, talking about the corruption of Jeff Davis Parish. I used to live in Lafourche Parish, and there was a doctor over there who went around with a presentation that he made to different civic groups, and the title of his presentation was "You Can Get By with Murder in Lafourche Parish." And he sat there and he outlined names and whatever. He eventually served in the state senate for a term or two. He was a character, to say the least, but there were 2 sheriffs back to back who went to prison in Lafourche Parish.
And that guy in Terrebonne, that bourgeois, didn't he have some problems too? He actually had a reality show.
The Terrebonne
Welcome
Parish?
to
Yeah,
2016.
and right after that, I think they filed a suit on him, or he was, he had to leave. He was thrown out of office or something.
There's no
anyway,
telling.
but you brought up Lafourche. If you don't mind, I want to digress just for 1 second.
Digress, yes.
If you saw the article about the parish presidents of Lafourche and Terrebonne sent a letter. Well, actually, they met with the governor, and then because they said they didn't want to blindside him with a letter, so they went to meet with him personally to ask him, please do not file these suits on the oil companies, these blanket suits against the oil companies. As Vermilion Parish asked, they do not want to be involved, and our district attorney turned around and filed the suit. This is really, it's such a blanket condemnation. How many times do you want to kick these people while they're down? How many more jobs do you want to lose? Frank's, we got a word the other day, Frank's has another round of layoffs coming. And they're one of the biggest property taxpayers in Lafayette Parish, if not the largest. And what do we have? We have the assessor reassessing property. We have the city parish council reassessing and increasing property taxes on all these people. How much more do they have to pay? Now you have these lawsuits on top of all this downturn. Sorry, I really have a problem with that. Blanket lawsuits against 50 oil companies trolling for dollars and awarding the contracts to your buddies in the plaintiff bar.
We will continue to wrap up Wingin' It Wednesday. Quick wrap up. Where do the local candidates for Senate, for the House, go now with 34 days left to the election? It's Wingin' It Wednesday on KPEL.
And double-checking what's happening in traffic today, we have a report of a traffic crash, Vero at South Beetle. That's Vero at South Beetle. Also, we have a traffic crash on Surrey Street just before you get to the Southeast Evangeline Thruway. That's on Surrey, just before you get to the Southeast Evangeline Thruway. Southwest Evangeline Thruway at 6th Street. That's Southwest Evangeline.
Of Wingin' It Wednesday for today. Again, brought to you by our friends over at Service Cadillac. The fine folks over there, during the summer, we were telling you go soak up their AC, eat their popcorn, drink their water. But now, Just go for the company. Just go for the company.
Look,
nice guys over there.
And the good thing is, you can look at all the great vehicles that they have. They've always got some great deal going on. Whether it's a truck you're looking for or you want the big luxury of a Cadillac at an affordable price, you're going to get it.
Third row. That's all I need. I need a third row.
That's what you need for all them kids now?
I need to be able to bring my mother-in-law anywhere I go with the kids to help us.
Dude, she's
I need
so
a third
nice.
row.
I am so with you. And if you want to get your vehicle cleaned, it's Wash It Up Wednesday. Go clean your car today.
Rob
right
even likes his mother-in-law.
Love
How
her.
do you like that?
I got
She's
very
a nice
lucky.
lady.
I pulled the slot machine and I got a great one.
Yep.
It was awesome.
What is it about them people from St. Landry Parish? They're nice.
They are.
Mm-hmm.
And if you could make a good gravy, that's extra points.
Yeah.
Always rice.
My mother-in-law, she can cook now. Mine too.
So as we wrap up, Warren, we'll start with you on this one. 34 days left. The local candidates, Senate race, 3rd Congressional District, 4th Congressional District. Where do people need to be spending these candidates? Who do they need to be shaking hands, holding babies, petting dogs?
I wouldn't dare to try to tell them. They need to come and pay me some money as a consultant. I'll tell them completely. But look, who knows? Can I go off topic?
Go off.
I was listening to you on the way in, and you had Bruce Conklin here talking about the bike lanes and all that. And he said that Mayor President Durrell was going to lead a group of pedestrians across the street going into the library when they have some kind of an occasion or whatever. And all I could think about is I watched the old Red Skelton interview the other day on YouTube from 1983 or something, and he was said, oh, we were at some place, and he said they gave us this big old car to drive. It was a Rolls Royce, big one. He said, my wife says, I want to drive it. She said, I said, well, this is a big car. She said, oh, I can't. She said, well, you're going too fast. She said, I can stop on a dime. And she did. But the dime was in an old man's pocket. Said because the old guy was trying to come off the sidewalk, I told her, I said, give him the right of way. She plowed right into him. And I said, what did you do that for? You said, get him right away. So I just hope that the mayor president doesn't have a dime in his pocket. And there's no Rolls Royces around when he leads his group across the street, but it was funny.
So as the attentive moderator that I am, I'm going to let you follow the same rules. If you want to go off the reservation, don't answer my question or anything. You can go off the reservation if you'd like to.
Warren's
favorite brunch spot these days? I mean, whatever you want to talk about.
34 days to the election. Can it get here soon enough? I cannot get here soon enough. My gosh, 24 Senate candidates, 12 3rd Congressional District candidates. I mean, when you look at that 4th Congressional District, it seems like it's kind of empty, huh?
But there are
How many are there?
all from Shreveport. There are about 9, but they're almost all from Shreveport. Elbert Guillory, the closest one around here, St. Louis Parish.
Yeah.
Go Elbert.
Yeah.
Well, you might as well pull for your own if you only have one.
There you go. Albert's a cool guy. I like Albert.
A sharp-dressed man.
Oh, yeah.
Always.
Yeah. But where should they be going? Well, only they can tell you where they're, I mean, if they're doing really good polling and really good internals and all that sort of stuff, and they see where their weakness is, then they might want to concentrate there. On the other hand, sometimes you want to shore up your base, too. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I don't know. There are so many candidates in there. I'm not really sure. Those early polls that showed Angel and ahead in that race, I think were name recognition. I think Brett Guyman and Greg Ellison really both have a good shot. I think at challenging Angel.
All right, Wingin It Wednesday. We do it every single week right here on Wednesdays, brought to you by our friends over at Service Cadillac. We're back with Acadiana's Morning News after Bernie has news, weather, and traffic at the top of the hour.